Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. We got a fun one prepared today. What we'll be doing is we'll be breaking down and predicting our first round of the 2024 college football playoff. We have 4 conference champions that have byes the first round, but we have 8 total teams battling it out in order to make it to the second round. 4 games in total. The games are actually going to be kicking off on Friday, December 20th. We have 1 game, and then we have 3 games on Saturday, December 21st. But we're going to break down these games. We're going to predict the outcome, who's going to win, who's going to lose, and what the final score will be. We'll also touch on the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. These games kick off late next week, so next Friday, next Saturday, but it's never too early to start looking at the games, breaking down the matchups. As we get closer, we will release another video just before the games next week, but let's go ahead and get started. The very first one we have coming up for the college football playoff for round 1 is going to be our Friday night game. At 8 p.m. on December 20th, we have number 8 Indiana, 11-1, coming out of the Big Ten. Cignetti's team had a great season so far. Came out of nowhere, top 15 in offense, top 15 in defense. They've been getting after it. They can throw it. They can run it. Their defense is going to be able to keep them in any one of these games. They're going to be playing number 5 Notre Dame, 11-1. That lone loss was an awful loss, a really bad loss to NIU, but everything is still in front of Notre Dame. We said as long as they didn't lose another game after the NIU game, they were going to make the playoffs. They curb stomped every single team after that game. They actually had the number 1 win differential in all of college football. They won by the most average set of points. Yes, they had a pretty easy schedule, but no matter what, this team was playing really well down the stretch. That's when you want to be hot, is going down the stretch, going into the playoffs with all your wheels rolling. Right now, Notre Dame has a 70.4% chance to win this game. 7.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 50.5. Both of these teams can move the ball on the ground. Indiana actually comes in here with the number 2 offense in the entire nation, just slightly behind the Miami Hurricanes. They're averaging 43.3 points a game. They're throwing for 276.9, running for 173.6. Very balanced offense. But what about that defense? Only giving up 14.7 points a game. That's a top 10 defense in the nation. Even when they play the Buckeyes, they got the crap kicked out of them by the Buckeyes after the first quarter. But it doesn't matter. They won every game. They won every game by a lot. They beat down their opponents. Number 2 in win differential. This team is rolling right now. They give up 195 through the air. They only give up 70.8 yards on the ground. This is one of the best run defenses in the nation. And the way that Notre Dame wants to win this game is on the ground, in the trenches. It's going to be strength on strength. One of the best rush defenses in the nation versus one of the best rush offenses in the nation in the Notre Dame Irish, who sit at number 5 right now. Right now, they're averaging 39.8. Throwing for 203.3, running for 224.8. This is the top 15 national team rushing the ball on the ground. They have a loaded offense at the running back position. Their biggest weakness is obviously going to be Riley Leonard at the quarterback position. He's closing in on 2,100 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. Yeah, he played pretty decent the second half, but let's be honest. I've been saying since the Duke game, this guy's not an accurate passer by any means. 55% completion percentage for his career at Duke. He still can't throw the ball. But hey, when you can run the ball, stick to your strength. They have Den Brock as the offense coordinator. He's going to line up. He's going to run it down your throat. Expect a steady dose of love. And Riley Leonard also running the ball. He's just under 800 yards himself rushing. When the running game is hitting, that's going to open up those play action passes down the field. But it's Notre Dame's defense that completely steals the show. They're only giving up 13.6 points a game. That's a top 10 national defense in the entire country. They get after it. Their defensive line is going to get after Indiana. They're going to try to win this game in the trenches. This game will be decided at the line of scrimmage. Rush defense versus rush offense. Whose offensive line can hold up the most? Notre Dame's line is pretty banged up this season, but hey, their defense is going to keep them in this game no matter what. It's a playoff game, and it's at home for Notre Dame. And don't forget, both of these teams are based in the state of Indiana, so it's also a state rivalry matchup right now for Indiana. They have Rourke, who had a great season so far, closing in on 2,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 picks, kept the turnovers down. That's definitely what you want to do when you're playing a defense like the Notre Dame Irish. They have Ellison, they have Surratt, and for Notre Dame, expect a steady dose of love and Leonard on the grounds, and they have Collins when they need him for those 3rd and long passes. So who do I have winning this game? I think this game is going to be surprisingly close. Notre Dame is a pretty heavy favorite. I have them winning the game, but I have them winning it 28-23. Indiana hasn't played a really good team since the Ohio State Buckeyes. Notre Dame is that team, and their defense should be able to deliver them a very close game here. And we're now moving on to our Saturday, the 3 playoff games we have kicking things off Saturday, December 21st. The very first one we have coming up, number 10 SMU, 11-2. They snuck into the playoffs. This team is a very talented team. They play elite defense. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have the offense that can typically keep up with anyone in a shootout. They'll be playing number 4 Penn State, 11-2. Penn State lost the Big Ten championship, but they showed a lot of fight versus the Oregon Ducks. Right now, Penn State has a 67.2% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites, so pretty big favorites here, and the over-under is going to be 53.5. The big thing for this game is SMU has the offense. They have Jennings at the quarterback position. This is Rhett Lashley's team. He has them ready to go. Since Stone goes out, Jennings has stepped in. This team has never looked back in any way whatsoever. He can throw the ball, but it's what he does with his legs that is the game changer. When he scrambles, he picks up massive yardage on the ground. He's closing in on 3,100 yards, 22 passing touchdowns, 8 picks, and he also has 5 rushing touchdowns. Like I said, it's the ability to scramble and get out of pressure. But Penn State, that defense is a legitimate defense. They have a top 15 defense. They are top 10 in sacks, top 10 in quarterback pressures, top 10 in tackles for a loss. Their goal is going to be to bottle up Jennings, keep him in the pocket, force him to throw the ball, force him to beat you on 3rd and long situations. Right now, SMU, they're averaging 38.5. They're throwing for 273.2 yards a game, running for 176.1, and they're giving up 20.8 points a game, which is a really good defensive stat. They're only giving up 93.4 rushing yards on the ground. They can shut down the run as well, but they haven't played a team as physical as James Franklin's Penn State squad is going to be at the line of scrimmage. Penn State actually probably has the easiest path in the playoffs right now. Things just kind of lined up that way with their seeding. They are loaded on the lines, on the defensive line, on the offensive line. They want to beat you up at the line of scrimmage. They want to get physical with you. They want to wear you out. They want to beat you down. Right now, Penn State comes in. They're averaging 33.6 points a game. They're going to be led by the veteran Drew Aller. He's closing in on 2,900 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. They're throwing for 253.1 yards a game, running for 202.2. Very balanced, and it's what they do on the ground as well that's going to make the difference. One of the best 1-2 running back punches in the nation. They have Allen. They have Singleton. They're going to be cycling those guys through the game, keeping them fresh, and you don't have to beat them 1, 2, 3. It's 4 quarters of physical running downhill. Can SMU and their defensive line keep up with them? They might be able to keep up first half, but it's when you start to get wore out second half, and they're giving up 16.4 points a game, only giving up 290 offensive yards every single game. Right now, looking at the playmakers, you have Jennings on one side. You have Brashard Smith closing in on 1,300 yards rushing. He's the transfer from the Miami Hurricanes. They have Daniels Jr. And for Penn State, Singleton, Allen, and it's Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is basically unstoppable. He can completely take over a game. If it's 3rd and long, it is 100% going to Tyler Warren, and the guy comes down with every single physical match catch. I have Penn State getting the win here. Their physicality dominates the second half. I think they will get out to a lead early. They will hold that lead, and they'll pull away second half. They win this one 33-21. And then our next game we have coming up on TNT for their next college football matchup at 4 p.m. We have number 12 Clemson coming in here at 10-3, the lowest ranked of the college football teams. They won the ACC, but they did not get the bye. Boise State got it as the Group of 5 champ. They're going to be playing number 5 Texas Longhorns, 11-2. There are 2 losses to the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas does not have a top 25 win the entire season. Maybe they're overrated. Maybe we were overestimating Texas. I don't think so, but they don't have the wins to back it up technically. But right now the Longhorns are still heavy favorites. They come in here with a 80.5% chance to win this game. 11-point favorites, massive spread there. And the over in here is 51.5. Looking at Clemson, this is a Clemson team that has veteran leadership. Dabo has been there before. He has 2 national championships. He's not going to back down from anyone. He does things his own way, and sometimes it does completely backfire on him. Let's say the transfer portal. But there's no doubting this team fought. They won their way to the ACC game. Props to them for that. But can they get past the first round of the playoffs? Year 2 under Riley as the offense coordinator. This offense took massive strides going forward. Right now, Klubnik had his best season by far. He's closing in on 3,400 yards, 33 passing touchdowns, only 5 picks. He also has 7 touchdowns on the ground. He can extend plays with his legs. He does pick up pretty big yardage on the ground, it's going to be very, very difficult to run on the Texas Longhorns defensive line. They have a top 3 pass rush in the nation. They're going to be getting after Klubnik. Their goal is force him to make mistakes passing the ball. Right now, they're throwing for 284.9 yards a game, running for 180.8. And their defense is giving up 22.3 points a game. This is not the Clemson defense of old, probably the worst defense they've had in the last decade. It's not a bad defense, very talented, the number 9 overall roster according to ESPN, but they're not holding up like they used to. They don't have the physical defense like they've had in previous seasons, but it's still serviceable because their offense is technically clicking second half of the season. Right now, Texas, obviously, Quinn Ewers did not have his best game in the last couple games, but he has been pretty banged up. He's closing in on 2,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks. He didn't have the year that he wanted, hoping to go into the NFL draft, so he might be coming back for one more season, but will it be with Texas Longhorns? I don't know, because can you really hold Arch Manning back one more season? Right now, Texas, they're averaging 33.6 points a game, throwing for 294, running for 164.4, only giving up 12.5 points a game. They have a top 5 statistical defense in the nation, the number 4 overall roster. They have the playmakers on the offense. They have Ewers, Wisner, Golden, Bond. They have the playmakers on the outside that Clemson doesn't. Clemson has Maffa. They have Williams, but they don't have a deep, legitimate threat wide receiver core. Texas has that. Did not work versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas definitely got out of their game plan there. They missed some field goals. They didn't adapt when Carson Beck went out at the running quarterback position. Can Klubnik mirror what the Bulldogs were able to do? He's not a fast runner, but he can pick up massive yards on the ground. He could probably run for, I'd say, 50 to 60 yards on the ground. That can make the difference scrambling for first downs. But I think Texas is going to be able to get the lead early. They're going to be able to hold it. It's their multiple offense. They can run it. They can throw it. They have the playmakers that are going to dominate second half. This is going to be the most physical team that Clemson has played since they played Georgia first game of the season. I have Texas owning the second half. Quinn Ewers has a good game through the air. They dominate on the ground in the trenches versus the Clemson defense. Texas wins this one 34-23. And our final game of round 1 we have coming up on ABC at 8 p.m. We have number 9 Tennessee Volunteers 10-2 versus number 8 the Ohio State Buckeyes 10-2. This might be the best matchup of round 1. This is a massive matchup between 2 extremely good brands, 2 10-2 teams, one representing the SEC, one representing the Big Ten. 2 of the best brands, the 2 best brands in all of college football. Right now, the Buckeyes, they are heavy favorites right now. They have a 65.5% chance to win this game. This game is at Ohio State. Ryan Day better win this game. If he doesn't win this game, I think he's going to be fired the next day. The next morning, he'll get canned. His stuff will be in a box on the side of the road. He has to win this game. He cannot afford to drop back-to-back home games. They lost to Michigan at home. He cannot lose to Tennessee at home. He has to give the fans, he has to give the Buckeyes his first playoff win. Right now, the Buckeyes, 65.5% chance to win this game. 7.5 point favorites. The over and here is 47 points. Tennessee. This is a Tennessee. They don't have the offense like they've had in previous seasons, but they definitely have a serviceable offense. One of the best balanced offenses, passing, running the ball. It's their defense, though. A top 10 pass rush, a top 10 defense in the nation. Right now, they're going to be led by Nico since he got into SEC play. He wasn't playing the way that he played those first couple games. Definitely, when he feels pressure, he was starting to crack, starting to let ball sail as he pushed him down the field. But he is surrounded by a lot of playmakers. Right now, they're averaging 37.3 points a game. He has 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. They're throwing for 239.2, running for 232.5. Like I was saying, probably the best balanced team in the nation throwing and running the ball, and they're only giving up 13.9 points a game. They probably have the best defense in the physical SEC. They were able to hold up every single game in the trenches. The Buckeyes, though, they have a defense that takes it to another level, but Tennessee has seen this caliber defense previously so far this season. Right now, the Buckeyes are going to be led by the transfer Will Howard. He's closing in on 2,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 picks. He also has 7 touchdowns rushing. Right now, they're averaging 35.5 points a game, throwing for 260.6, running for 169.2. The first half of this season, they were running all over anyone. Also one of the best 1-2 run back punches. Junkins, Henderson, but they lost 2 or 3 of their starters on the offensive line, completely depleted this team running the ball, took a lot of their ground game away because they weren't able to fully lean on people through 4 quarters. They can still run the ball, but not to the level that they started out this season. But they're only giving up 10.9 points a game. That is the number 1, not 2, not 3, the number 1 defense in the nation. They get after it. Their defensive line is legitimate. They're going to get a lot of pressure on Nico. Can they shut down Tennessee's run game, force them into a pass-first team? We know if you force that with Nico. So far this season, he has not shown that he can consistently move the ball down the field when the game is on his shoulders passing the ball. He needs the running game. He needs the play action. Right now, looking at the playmakers, Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, what a season he had leading the SEC in rushing. 1,500 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns. Thornton Jr., Squirrel White. This team is loaded with playmakers at every single position. They can beat Ohio State. They have Josh Heupel, one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. This team can light it up. If they beat the Buckeyes, I would not be surprised. Right now, the Buckeyes, Junkins, Henderson, they might have the deepest, if not a top 3 deep wide receiver room in the nation, led by Jeremiah Smith, led by Egbuka, 2 guys that are going to be first-round picks when they come out of college. That can make the difference here. But will Howard have time to push the ball down the field versus Tennessee's defensive line? Both of these teams have top 10 defensive line. The Buckeyes might have a top 5, but Tennessee is right there with them. It comes down to the same situation for both teams. Which offensive line is going to hold up enough to where their quarterbacks can make those plays down the field? As of right now, this is a close game. This is a tough one. I have the Buckeyes winning it. I have them winning this one 24-21, squeaking this game out. Do not underestimate Tennessee. If you do, just go watch that Georgia Bulldogs game. This team is legitimate. They can win. They're going to win. If they win, it's going to be based off of their defense, but I think it's the same thing for the Buckeyes. Both of these teams, their path to winning this game is the same. Defense and pressure at the line of scrimmage. So that's our picks and predictions for all of our week 1 college football matchups. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below and I will respond. Thank you.